my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, "If the British marched by land or sea or town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the Old North Church as a signal light. One if by land, two if by sea, and I on the opposite side of the shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm to every Middlesex village and farm for the country folk to be up and to arm."
Woo!
Then he said good night, and with muffled oars silently rowed to the Charlestown shore, just as the moon rose over the bay, swinging wide in her moorings lay the Somerset British man of war. Phantom ship with each mast and spar lay across the moon like a prison bar, a huge black hulk that was magnified by her own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile his friend through alley and street wanders and watches with eager ear, until in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore.
Then he climbed the tower to the Old North Church, by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade. By the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, there he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath him the churchyard lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear like a sentinel's tread the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper, "All is well." Only a moment he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead, for suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats.
Woo!
Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now he gazed at the landscape far and near, then impetuous stomped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle girth, but mostly he walked with eager surge, the belfry tower of the Old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still, and lo, as it looks at the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to his saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns.
A hurry of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, beneath from the pebbles, in passing, a spark, struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet, through gloom and delight, the fate of a nation was riding that night, and a spark struck out by that steed in his flight, kindled the land into flame with its heat. He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath, tranquil and broad the deep, is a mystic, meeting the ocean tides, and under the alders that skirt its edge, now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides.
It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed the bridge and met for dawn. He heard the barking, he heard the crowing of the cock, he heard the barking of the former's dog. He felt the damp of the river's fog that rise when the sun goes down.
Woo!
It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington, and he saw the weather clock swim in the moonlight as he was passing the meeting house windows black and bare as it glazed at him with a spectral glare. As they
village clock when he came to the bridge and conquered town. He felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadow brown. One was safe asleep in his bed. Who at the bridge would be first to fall? Who that day would be lying dead, pierced by the British musket ball?
You know the rest in the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, crossing the fields to emerge again, under the tree at the end of the road, only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear. Oh, knock at the door, a word that shall echo forevermore. For born on the night wind of the past, to all our history to the last, an hour of darkness and peril and need, a people awaken and listen to hear the ring of the hoofbeats of that steed, of the midnight message of Paul Revere. That's it.